Splat Brella is my favorite weapon in any video game ever. It is such an interesting, unique weapon that I don't think I've ever seen in any video game. It's so unique even for Splatoon, and Splatoon has tons of wacky weapons. They have a bucket that flings ink at people. They have a bow that shoots 3 arrows at once. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty neat stuff. But I don't think it compares to how cool Splat Brella is. Like when this weapon was first revealed in Splatoon 2, I immediately fell in love with it. I thought the idea of a shotgun with a shield was absurdly cool, and I've been using it ever since. I've played through the entirety of Splatoon's lifespan with Splat Brella, and I still play Splatoon 3. I still play Splat Brella with it. But what makes Splat Brella so cool is the way you interact with the players that way. You have a shield, right? You have the canopy. You of course you can use it to block hits, but what makes it super cool is that you can stall out battles for as long as possible. That's basically your goal as Splat Brella. The stall out battles, to keep those fights happening so your team can do the things they need. So if your charger can pick off those people, so your front lines can rush into the base and get the objective. Those sorts of things. Splat Brella enables your team to do so much, and of course, doing that, it is a support weapon. It does not great damage. It can definitely fight by itself. What's also cool is that it can win most 1v1s. If you are a good Brella player, you will win every single 1v1 most of the time. Of course, that's balanced by lag. Lag kind of ruins Splat Brella. And that, and also the weapon being extremely hard to play, puts people off from trying it out. You don't give it the full attention, the full dedication that you need to play Splat Brella. It's just not there for most people. Splat Brella is a very difficult weapon to learn. I would say it has the highest skill ceiling of any weapon in the game. Because with Splat Brella, you have to take into account strafing, when you need to close and open your shield, the timing of that shield, when to launch your shield. Never. That's easy. You don't launch your shield. There's a lot that goes into playing Splat Brella. But I want to give spotlight to this weapon because I genuinely think it's so cool. It's so interesting and so fun to play for me. Now, when I'm playing Splat Brella, I'm always looking out for my team. I'm always wondering, has my team died yet? What can I do to prevent that? So you can go into fights, seeing your team needs struggling, your team is struggling, and you can go in and pull out your shield and help them win those fights that they need to win. There's one game where it was splat zones and we were about to lose, but I had the Explosher was trying to get in, but they were surrounded by, like, I'm pretty sure just a bunch of aggressive shooters. I don't know what the Explosher was doing there. They probably should have not been there. So I was protecting the Explosher with my life. I was making sure that all their shots hit my shield and not them, and that caused I enabled the Explosher to take them out and secure the win for us, and that was so satisfying. Those moments where you are enabling your team to succeed, those moments where you keep your team alive, it just feels so good. It feels nice to let your teams win. Most weapon satisfactory I get from Splatoon, and I imagine most other people get, is getting crazy kills, amazing kill streaks, and I have gotten those with Splat Brella. Those aren't what make the weapon for me. What makes the weapon for me is that supportive playstyle. Because Brella supports in a really interesting way, because the way they do it is by engaging the enemy with the stall strats, basically. You are stalling your opponent out, making sure that you outlast them and that you kill them before they can do anything to your team. That's how you help your team out, and I find it so satisfying. Yeah, I I'm those people who play defensive zoner characters in fighting games, tanky, stally ones. But there's an art to it with Splat Brella because you aren't tanky. Your shield will break at some point, and you have to make sure that doesn't happen. So you have to master opening and closing your shield, letting your shield heal by being in the ink. There really is so much that goes into Splat Brella. Another very small aspect of Splat Brella that I really enjoy is what I like to call booping, where you use your shield to do slight amount of damage and try to combo that, because the shield has its own hitbox. The hitbox is what takes the hits, but it also can deal damage. A small amount of damage, mind you, but it can do damage. And if you're like above a ledge or something and the opponent is trying to climb up to that ledge, you can just keep bonking them off the ledge and just doing that tiny amount of damage to a point where they have to engage you, or else they have to face your shield chip damage. It's also really great for finishing combos. Brella combos mostly involve using the maximum amount of damage from your shot and then comboing that with the shield damage. How Brella's damage works is that it shoots multiple pellets, it is basically a shotgun, but how it does it is it's more contained, so you need to line up all of your shots to get the maximum amount of damage, which is a 2-shot, but generally you're not gonna get that 2-shot, which it helps balance the weapon, because if Brella did absurd damage, then there'd be no point in stalling with the weapon. You just kill people. Not that Brella is a bad fighting weapon. I think it's honestly pretty strong at fighting, especially in 1v1s. That's its specialty. In team fights, it can get a bit precarious because with the shield, you have to look out for your teammates, because you're pointing the shield the wrong way, or if your opponent is behind you, they can throw a bomb into your shield and that will kill you instantly and even your teammates instantly, which has happened quite a few times for me. You get a really good weapon on your side, like a charger or a splatling or any long range weapon, I think. It helps Brella be able to support even more, because while you're having these long extended fights, your charger in the back is killing the people that you're fighting, which helps your frontliners on the team push forward and keeps the battle moving. I just love this weapon, man. It's so fun, even with its flaws. It has several flaws. There's lots of downsides to Brella. As much as I love it, I have to admit it kinda sucks. And that's another reason that I don't think Nintendo even really cares about it. It took them so long just to get the weapon to have any sort of update or buff in the game. One of the things I think is Brella's biggest flaw isn't necessarily the weapon itself, but Splatoon's servers. I think they make the... Right, as I said that, I got a communication error. I don't know if that will appear in the video, but it did. That's kind of funny. But with lag and what's happening on your screen is happening differently on the opponent's screen, it causes unfair interactions with the Brella's shield. Sometimes you're blocking a hit on your side, but on the opponent's screen, your shield is down. You're wide open to attack, so you die anyways. It can be frustrating losing your shield, but I think there's worse things that you can deal with with Splat Brella, because If you're losing your shield with Splat Brella, I don't think you're playing it really well. That only happens if you're overwhelmed by a billion people. The worst things to deal with, and what I think are some of the biggest counters of Splat Brella, are blasters and chargers. Those things shred your canopy. They will obliterate it. With chargers, they can destroy the canopy, meaning you have to fight for your life without a shield. With Splat Brella's slow damage, and it's kind of hard to two-shot people with it, is pretty tough, especially when you're dealing with someone who's across the map from you, shooting you. And then blasters have a significant advantage because they can just shoot around your shield. When you're fighting a blaster, you don't even have a shield pretty much. Now, there is ways to counter it somewhat. You can jump in time with the blaster's shots to have a better chance of surviving, but that will only help you a little bit because the blaster will recognize that pattern and be able to work around it if they're good enough. There's so much that goes into this weapon. So many small things you have to think about when playing it. The way I'm talking about these weaknesses makes it seem like I don't like Splat Brella, but this entire video is dedicated to why I love this weapon. So that's not true. Despite those faults, I still find it engaging and fun to play, regardless of what I'm up against. If I'm protecting my team, if I'm able to outlast my opponents, then I am succeeding as Splat Brella. Next time you're playing Splatoon 3, scrolling through the weapon menu, maybe just try Splat Brella. Just give it a chance.